Hey guys, so before we get this going, just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, this video is a first impressions video. This is not my general opinion about this show, this miniseries as a whole. This is just my initial reactions of WandaVision based strictly on the first 2 episodes. My opinions on the show might change when I finish watching it, okay? Let's get that clear. Secondly, spoiler warning. Yes, I haven't seen the ending of the show. There's no possible way that I could spoil it for you as far as the way it ends or what happens during the climax of this series. However, I will be saying a lot of theories aloud as this video progresses, and that might potentially spoil the show for you. So if you want to go in fresh and enjoy all 9 episodes of WandaVision without knowing what's going to happen, not even having a little itty-bitty little theory in your head as to, or a notion as to what might transpire in the show, don't watch this video. Stop it right here. Otherwise, here we go. We've been watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe now for 11 years. And throughout this time, anytime anybody criticizes me or one of my peers for loving these movies and they point out the, mind-blowing fact that they're just comic book movies, our general defense towards the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that unlike other comic book-based movies made by other studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe films are all different from one another. Captain America Winter Soldier is a political thriller. Guardians of the Galaxy is a space opera. Ant-Man is a redemption story, so on and so on. They're all different from one another. For years and years and years, comic book movies, we only had one type of comic book movie, the origin movie, or the sequel to that origin. And then suddenly, the MCU, Marvel Studios, comes along and changes the game. They've given us variety in this genre. But the counter-argument that I always get to that is that all of the installments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're just action movies. Just action movies. And honestly, I didn't have a counter argument to that. I really, really didn't. Even one of my top 5 favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe films, Doctor Strange, essentially is an action movie. I mean, they took the sorcerers of the Vishanti and turned them into kung fu wizards, which honestly doesn't bother me as a fan, but it also makes it difficult to defend the Marvel Cinematic Universe's variety. Until now. WandaVision is one of the most unique, weird installments to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's unlike anything that you've ever seen before. It has a very strong mystery element. A lot of people seem to keep focusing on the fact that these first 2 installments are like a 1960s sitcom. They're more akin to Bewitched or the Dick Van Dyke Show than they would be one of these multi-million-dollar Marvel Cinematic Universe films. But the fact is that, in my opinion, and if you really pay attention, it's actually more in line with The Twilight Zone, which coincidentally is another iconic 60s show. This is a mystery, all right? But it's a mystery that is being unraveled very slowly. In fact, if any of you ask me right now, Erod, do you like this show? I wouldn't be able to answer that question because this isn't like your standard television series. It's not episodic. This is a mini-series. This is one big story told across small chapters. And right now, I've only seen the first 2 parts out of 9 chapters. So it's the equivalent of one of you asking me what I thought about a movie after I had only seen the first 5th. So right now, I can't answer that. I will say that these first 2 episodes were a lot of fun, and I was very impressed by Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany's ability to play the most stereotypical sitcom characters. However, I will warn you, I know it's been a long, long year that we've gone without any new installments to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a lot of us were hoping to wake up this morning and get our Marvel fix and get all the things that we usually crave out of these movies, out of these installments to this ginormous franchise. You're not going to get that fix with the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. All the stereotypical stuff that you usually get from these movies, these installments, is not here. It's very, 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 very different. And the reason I had that elaborate opening is because there's no action sequences here, at least not in these first 2 chapters. It's mostly traditional sitcom comedy. They 110% committed to recreating a 60s style sitcom with an animated opening and everything. And of course, as I mentioned, the mystery element. Like, what's really going on? You know something's happening. You know it has something to do with Wanda. And you're getting itty-bitty little clues here and there as to what's happening. One very interesting clue that I noticed was that they do these funny little commercials in the middle of each episode in the style of 60s commercials. And one of them is for a watch called a Strucker. And as most of you hardcore Marvel fans will know, one of the biggest villains in the Marvel Universe is Baron von Strucker, which was the Hydra villain, or a head of Hydra, that gave Wanda and her brother Pietro their powers in Avengers Age of Ultron. So, is Baron Strucker still alive? Did Ultron stage his death, like fake his death for some reason? Did he survive that? Did somebody save his life after Ultron allegedly killed him, and now he's behind this and he's doing this to Wanda? Who knows? Is this for the man who has everything situation, like Superman in that famous comic book where he experiences his ideal life? Is this being done to Wanda, or is Wanda doing this herself? We don't know. What intrigues me the most is why, if this is a fantasy, and there's a lot of moments where it's clear that Wanda's controlling this, but what is weird to me, what is fascinating to me, and what I hope they answer is, why is it a sitcom? Why is it gonna, I know it's gonna change into other styles of sitcoms, from different eras, but why? Why is it a sitcom? I hope they answer that. So far, that's the part that I find most intriguing, the style of it. But we'll see. I especially like how the title in itself is a pun. Yes, the show is about Wanda and the Vision, but at the same time, we are seeing an idealized world from Wanda's point of view, from Wanda's vision. So that in itself, I think, is a huge hint as to what's to come, that nothing is what it seems. Of course, we knew way ahead of time that Kathryn Hahn was going to be playing a major role in this. She's playing the next-door neighbor who calls herself Agnes. And a lot of people have theorized that she's playing Agatha Harkness. And if that's the case, she could potentially be helping Wanda control her powers. There's a lot of hints throughout the 2 episodes that not only has Wanda gained the ability to change reality, but also to create matter, to create whatever she wants. So if her powers are evolving, could Agatha Harkness be trying to help her, and in doing so, did she accidentally get pulled into Wanda's idealized fantasy? Same goes with Tiana Paris's character. I believe she called herself Geraldine. I think that Wanda, whoever's trying to help her get out of this, if they're trying to help her, it keeps getting pulled into the fantasy. For those of you who don't know, Tiana Paris is supposed to be playing, according to IMDb, Monica Rambeau. Who's Monica Rambeau? She's the daughter of Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel's best friend, who we saw as a little kid in Captain Marvel. This is the grown-up version of her. I believe she grows up to become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and after that, one day, in a future Marvel movie, possibly Captain Marvel 2, she will become Photon, another Marvel superhero. However, I don't think that S.H.I.E.L.D. is behind this. Twice throughout these 2 episodes, did we see the S.W.O.R.D. logo. So, is S.W.O.R.D. behind this, or is that another misdirect? A lot of theories, a lot of wishful thinking on behalf of the fans of what they want to see. One of the major things that fans think that this is going to lead to is A, the creation of mutants, and potentially the House of M storyline. The biggest hint to this is the label on the wine during the dinner scene in the first episode. Another thing that fans are hoping is that if this is a reality that Wanda can potentially control, that she will bring back Quicksilver. If she can bring back the Vision from death, she can bring back her brother. So a lot of people are hoping that we'll get to see at least a cameo from Aaron Taylor Johnson. What we do know for a fact is that this will be the beginning of a 3-part storyline that will run through the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4. It will start here, they continue on to the 3rd Spidey Home movie, Spider-Man Sony Marvel movie, and then finally, I think, conclude or continue in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, in which Elizabeth Olsen is due to appear as Scarlet Witch. So those are the facts. Everything else I've said is pretty much theory. So there you go. Going back to the commercials, I think they are hints as to what's going on. I found it interesting that the toaster was Stark Industries brand. Remember, in Avengers Age of Ultron, she had a major axe to grind with Tony Stark because one of his missiles killed her parents and nearly killed her and her brother, which motivated the 2 of them to join Hydra and get superpowers. So I have a feeling that both that and the other commercial, the one with the Strucker watch, are major hints as to what's going on, or it might just be pieces of her subconscious, again, from the first movie that we saw her in. According to multiple sources, including Elizabeth Olsen herself, this show will eventually transition from this goofy, wacky Twilight Zone episode that's stuck in old classic sitcoms into like your traditional action-packed sci-fi fantasy Marvel installment. So we'll see. But for now, what I 100% respect about this show is how committed they are to creating the sitcom motif and to only giving very minor hints that this is not the reality and that there's more to this show. I will tell you now that there's probably going to be a dozen assholes today that will see this show